Identity5 gamers, and welcome to a Q&A. It has been a while since we've done one of these, actually. I'm pretty excited to take a look at all the questions that we've left. We have over 150 comments, so potentially lots and lots of questions here. We're gonna try to make this a little bit longer than our other previous Q&As as well, since I think the last one I recorded but never ended up editing, unfortunately, just due to lack of time. So this time, we're hoping it's going to be able to answer quite a few questions here today, and you can feel free to tab out. There's not going to be too much on the screen in terms of visuals, to my knowledge. The biggest thing is going to be like the Spring Festival event. I ended up getting that entire event done, but didn't record like it day by day, so I think I missed out a lot of content. So we're just going to kind of put it here for now and kind of skip that event in its own video. I don't know. It should be fine. With that being said, let's just jump right into the questions. And also thank you to everybody who left a question, and I apologize if I do not get to yours. I don't know if I can answer all of them because there's quite a few. First up, we have some questions here from Eora Loves Smiles So Much. They also congratulate me on the B4U manager position. I kind of announced that in the exact same post I did the Q&A, so you're gonna probably see a lot of those if you're actually watching this video here. But their very first question is a bit of an interesting one, and that is, do you think pineapple belongs on pizza? This is an important question. This has been like a haha funny internet debate for so long, and I'm gonna be so honest with you guys. I've never had pineapple on pizza before. I don't think it sounds very good, but I've had people tell me that it is, and it just like complements the pizza really well. Like the flavor profiling of the pineapple just matches with the pizza. It's like a nice like sour and then sweet combination, I guess. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I've never had it before, so I generally cannot judge, but just the sound of it is a little odd. I'm not gonna lie. But you know, don't judge it until you try it, right? Their second question is, out of all the Melly skins there are in IDV, which one is your all-time favorite and why? This one is so hard because I don't know if I have a favorite. It's so hard, especially if we count Queen Bee into that too with the new edition of Memory Scar. Because I really do like a lot of Melly skins, and I feel like it's really hard for me to pick a favorite just because her skins are, almost all of her skins are bangers. Even her B tiers are really, really nice. I really like a lot of her B tiers as well. I think if I had to pick the one that is probably the most dear to my heart though, it would probably have to be Kongho, simply due to the fact that it was my very first Melly skin, and it was right around when I started playing the game, and when I started becoming kind of obsessed with Melly after I played it for like 2 months or so, Kongho was the new S tier coming out. And it was very fitting because right around the exact same time I started becoming obsessed with the game and obsessed with Melly, they released Kongho, which was like, I don't know, just like a huge coincidence, because I joined for the Danganronpa V3 crossover but didn't exactly care much for the actual characters until I started playing the game more. And then I really got attached to Melly, and that was just the perfect timing. It was just absolutely perfect timing. So I don't know if it is my favorite just in terms of design, but in terms of I guess, sentimental value, Kongho is probably my favorite. But again, it's a very hard question because she has so many good skins. Their third question is, as someone who is trying to get back into anime, do you have any suggestions? It can be any type of genre. I'm open to any kind. Well, Kaiba, you wanna anime to watch, Kaiba? Well, let me think here. Yugi, what do you think? Oh, Pharaoh. Have they seen Yu-Gi-Oh? Oh, that's a great suggestion. Have you seen Yu-Gi-Oh, Kaiba? Yugi, you think I'd watch such a pathetic show with you as the main protagonist? Absolutely not. Oh, you've got a good point there, Kaiba. Everything has to be front and center for you, right? Well, I will say, Kaiba, there is a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Did you say Blue Eyes, Yugi? That's right, Kaiba. The Blue Eyes White Dragon, and the Dark Magician too. Well, I don't like that you're the main protagonist. However, Yugi, if there's a Blue Eyes, I'll be there. Anyway, you should watch Yu-Gi-Oh! I've been watching Yu-Gi-Oh! And I've been kind of obsessed with it for like the past year and a half or so. I finished the main series just a few months ago, and now I'm on the second series, that of course being GX, and I'm about halfway through. GX is not nearly as good as the first one, but I'm still having a lot of fun with it, and everybody always tells me that the latter half of GX is way better, and that the first half of GX is kind of fillery and fun, and it's like, I like that, but it's like, I want to get to some more plot too. I think there's like a time and place for both, obviously, but I would say Yu-Gi-Oh! There's plenty of good animes out there. If you want a more general suggestion that everybody can, well, this one's maybe not everybody, but a lot of people like, I'd go with Free Run. I love Free Run a lot too. Free Run's just an absolutely beautiful, such a good down-to-earth show. The characters are just absolutely amazing. So I would suggest that as well. And their fourth and final question is, if you choose one survivor / hunter to get a buff and a nerf, who would it be and why? Well, let me tell you nerfs just outright here, because this is just coming from a place of hatred. Doctor right now is very, very overtuned. In my personal opinion, she's very unhealthy and frustrating to go up against as a hunter. For me personally, I have a lot of fun playing Identity 5. I do not have fun playing against Doctor. It is the same with Joseph. Joseph and Doctor are the two characters that I just do not have any fun going up against. And I don't like fighting like Wax Arson or like Percy that much either, like for hunters. But Doctor and Joseph, in my personal opinion, are the two characters I would just say just aren't fun, because it just is such a chore. It doesn't really feel like there's much counterplay. It's just like, I play a lot of like single hit hunters, so it's kind of hard to get down Doc with like chips and whatnot. I don't really play a lot of characters that have good matchups under her, so it can be really, really annoying. The only one I do play is Queen Bee, and I don't like playing her when I have 70 ping, which is my average ping in rank. Just in general, she's just such a rage bait, annoying character. And she's just a little bit overtuned right now. I really don't like Doctor. So I would nerf Doctor 100%. I don't care. That character should be bad. Like, for the game to be healthy, that character should be bad. If you've been watching COA, she has literally been banned nearly as much as Seer. Think about that, guys. Seer, the most banned character in the history of Identity 5. Doctor is up there with him now. That's how annoying she is for hunters now. Like, even COA level hunters are that annoyed with Doctor that they're banning Doctor alongside Seer. I'm telling you, it's real. She's so annoying. As for a hunter that I would nerf, I don't really think that there's any hunter that I would particularly nerf that I think deserves it right now. Probably, if I had to pick, I would maybe just say like Goatman or Sangria, just because they are a little bit overtuned. If it's my personal bias pick, just because I don't like the hunter, it's Wax Artist. I mean, I don't like fighting Joseph, but I think he's like, he's like very annoying, but I think he has a place in the meta. Or a place like I think he's a very good like beginner like introduction character, because he's a very good character to teach you how to work together as a team, and I like that about Joseph. It's just that he's very annoying because you don't get to kite, you just have to get cheese and gimmicked. I don't really like gimmicks, as you can tell. But yeah, I would say nerf Wax Artist just because he's annoying. That's it. Like, he's not even like that crazy of a character. Like, I know that for sure. He's just a tie with win potential hunter. He's just annoying. I don't like him. I don't like fighting him. So I'd nerf Wax Artist just because he's annoying. That's the only reason. Just because he's annoying. As for buffs, I mean, it's kind of become a running gag on the channel. We need to buff Antonio. That character's so bad. Like, he's the worst hunter in the game. He's so trash. Like, if he misses a note, he's just dead. Like, at least Ripper can, like, he can spam Fog Blades now, right? After all his buffs. They've given Ripper, like, 1,000 buffs. And he was, like, the worst hunter in the game, you know? And then Violinist hasn't got a buff. Outside of, like, his full presence is a little bit faster now. Oh, his full presence. Everybody knows Antonio's full presence is, oh, man. Something to watch out for, right? I would buff Antonio. Absolutely buff Antonio. As for a Survivor, that's tough because Survivors are really, really broken right now. And my bias is always let me buff my favorite characters. I'd say Melly. But I think if I'm looking at a character that doesn't really see much play, this one's tough because decoders are really strong right now, like Mechanic and Explorer right now. But I honestly would probably buff Composer. Composer's very bad. I don't think Composer's very good. He just kind of gets cooked by the meta. Again, you can kind of do well with Composer. I mean, the Tuning Fork is a nice speed bonus, and it is a rechargeable item, which is very, very useful. And good Composers can make him work. They just kind of, it's just not consistent. The problem is, like, when you're fighting really, really top hunters, and it's just, Composer just doesn't have the tools to really do well. Most people, when they see a Composer on the team, they're just like, oh, that's free. Let me just kill the Composer. So yeah, I think I'd probably buff Composer. I think he kind of needs it in this meta. Next up, we have a question from Witches Gala, and they say, you've hosted a number of IDV-sponsored live streams / tournaments, like the Demon King Challenge and the Enchanted Forest Tournament. Do you enjoy being able to host these events? And on a similar note, would you ever want to host a tournament entirely of your own accord, or officially commentate for one? Love the content, by the way. Zeez, keep up the good work. Well, thank you for that, Witches Gala. Yeah, it's been pretty fun doing the Demon King Challenge and Enchanted Forest. Enchanted Forest was way easier because it was just pretty fast. As for the Demon King Challenge, that was pretty challenging, at least in terms of setting up, because there was a lot of time that went into it. And I think in terms of reward for me personally, outside of just ad revenue from standard streams, it was a lot more work than it was worth it. But I enjoyed the community aspect of it, and I enjoyed the people that I worked with, and I enjoyed the fans that interacted with it. So overall, I would say it was really, really nice. It just ate up a lot of time, which was the biggest flaw of it. In terms of being able to officially commentate for a tournament or officially be able to host my own tournament, I don't think I'm particularly interested in official commentary. I think I've mentioned that a couple of times before when people always ask, like, oh, I like your commentary. You should become an official caster. I don't feel that I'd be comfortable with that. I really enjoy kind of doing my own thing. I like kind of being silly. I like being wild. I like being fun. And I think when you become an official caster, you have to kind of restrict yourself a little bit. You have to focus like only on the game. You have to be fully unbiased, all that kind of stuff. And while that's something I definitely think I'm capable of doing, I just don't think I'd have as much fun with it. I have a lot more fun doing my own thing on my own channel. And I think I'm more comfortable with that. I think like people like Kuroshio are perfect for that because Kuroshio is like a very, very, very good commentator, very good professional, is able to analyze almost everything going on in the match. He talks so fast and able to cover so much ground in a tournament. And I would say that Kuroshio is one of the best, like, perfect fits for being an official caster, whereas me, I'm a bit sillier, I'm a bit more off the rails, and I tend to get distracted a lot more often. So I would not put myself as, like, pretty good at being an official caster. As for hosting a tournament of my own accord, that is something I've considered multiple times, and I actually did have plans once before, but they kind of fell through. Not going to get into it, but they did fall through. And I do think I would want to host one in the future. I just don't exactly know how I'd go about doing it, because I'd want to make sure it's like, if I host the tournament, I want it to be special. I want it to be like big. I want it to be special. I want it to not just be like your standard little tournament that all the community has, which, I mean, most of the community tournaments that we have are absolutely great. But if I were to host one, I'd want to kind of go like above and beyond to make it as accessible and interesting as possible, and maybe also get like some sponsors to make the prize pools like pretty significant for the people that would be entering. But that'd be a lot of work, and doing that would also slow down my own content, which is why I haven't really done one just yet. But I'm never going to be against the idea. Never. I do want to host one in the future. It's just, I'd have to sacrifice a lot of time for it, similarly to the Demon King Challenge. Next up, we have some questions from, I'm going to butcher this name, Panikalmli. I'm not entirely sure what that's supposed to be. But their first question is, do you feel like 2026 is your year, trademark? I mean, I guess that's something that a lot of people will say in terms of like New Year's, like, oh, this year's going to be my year. I'm going to get all this stuff done. I'm going to do all this self-improvement stuff. It's going to be my year. I don't know. I didn't really make any New Year's resolutions or anything this year. I was just simply too busy to really think about it. But 2026 has probably been one of the most stressful starts to a year I've had in history, and I think it was probably the worst start I've ever had to a new year. And just in general, both in game, both in personal life and the greater scope of the current state of the world. There's a lot of things that cause stress right now. So I would say 2026 is probably, I still have a lot of hope for the future, and I still am very passionate about the things that I'm doing. But 2026 has probably been the worst year I've had in a long time. It's been quite rough. Our second question is, if you'd only keep one, chocolate or cheese, that's tough. Chocolate, it's funny because I think about chocolate and cheese on their own, and I'd be like, yeah, I'd go with chocolate every time. But then I think about like cheese that is included on stuff, like, if it's like in spaghetti or pizza, or have cheese with eggs, or it's just, cheese just combines with so many things, and I guess chocolate does too, but I feel like chocolate is like more of a dessert and a snack, whereas cheese is usually used in meals. I mean, cheese is used in sandwiches all the time. So I think initially if I wanted to eat something plain, it would be chocolate, because cheese on its own is not really that good. Like, it's good, but it's not that good. Usually cheese is paired with stuff, and chocolate is also paired with stuff a lot too, but chocolate on its own is very good. Cheese on its own is not so crazy, but I think because of the fact that cheese is paired with so many things, I'd probably have to choose cheese. Our third question is, any special plans for your other channels, or is your plate full at the moment? That's a good question. I do have many, many, many plans for all my other channels. They're all kind of put on the back burner for current projects. And right now, at least for the next month and a half or so, probably next 2 months actually, I'm mostly going to be dedicated to COA. So until I would say May, I'm kind of booked up. So I don't really think I can say anything at the moment outside of just a few small projects here and there. And their final question is, what's your favorite Sanrio character? Mine's Hangyodon. I'm not actually sure which one that is. I don't know all the Sanrio characters. But growing up, I used to have like VHSs of a lot of little Hello Kitty shorts and whatnot. But the one that I always used to love the most when I saw like his little shorts was Keroppi. I loved Keroppi so much, dude. I absolutely loved Keroppi. I was never much of like the Hello Kitty guy. I don't know. My sister loved Hello Kitty, but I always loved Keroppi. I don't know. Keroppi I thought was just so cute, and I absolutely love Keroppi. And I still holding out hope that maybe one day they'll do another crossover with Sanrio, and then maybe we'll get Keroppi Axe Boy. Because I remember seeing Keroppi Axe Boy for like a Sanrio cafe crossover, and I would love if Keroppi Axe Boy actually got in the game because he'd be so cute. But it is what it is, bro. It is what it is. A shame. But yeah, I think Keroppi's probably my favorite. Next up, we have a question here from Pinchy's Psycho. They say, my question is, Identity V is an asymmetrical horror game. Although the horror aspect rarely shows, do you think the game could benefit from leaning more into the horror, or do you think that ship has kind of sailed already? And finally, keep up the great work on videos. That, I think, is a really, really great question about kind of the state of the game. Because if you look at old IDV, it leaned way more into the horror than nowadays. I mean, especially the beta. I mean, you had like survivors' heads falling off and whatnot. You had like Clown with a chainsaw instead of a whatever he's holding. You had Leo with like a big sickle instead of a shark plushy thing. I don't even know what it's supposed to be. It's like they've really kind of stopped doing horror, and I think it's kind of more of like fashion showy. But there are still some horror aspects. I think the lore is definitely where you can find the most horror, because the lore definitely still goes very, very hard and very, very in depth, and they definitely touch on subjects that are very like in a morally gray area, I think, for a lot of different characters. And I find that to be very, very interesting. It's what makes IDV lore really fascinating to kind of look into. I would say that's probably the biggest draw in terms of where the horror aspect comes from. But I think in terms of like what attracts people to like buying skins is people are less interested in like the creepy designs, but more in terms of like the fashion and style from it. But I think what I enjoy about IDV is I feel like they're trying like to find a nice balance where they're able to kind of keep that style, but also some horror aspects as well. And I think that's why I really enjoy a lot of the, I guess, I still enjoy like a lot of the new Hunter designs, despite what a lot of people say. I'm not really that crazy about QS, but you know, for example, Dentist. I think Dentist was just revealed recently, and a lot of people don't like him because he's supposed to be like, oh, he's just kind of like the generic kind of pretty boy kind of thing. But when I saw Dentist, bro, I thought he looked cool as heck because he looked creepy. And that's why I liked Goatman as well. I mean, Goatman was probably one of the best new Hunter designs just because he's like a bit unconventional from like what makes, I guess, what would earn the most money. But I think his design is just really, really cool, both in terms of gameplay and just, you know, visual design. So I really enjoy that IDV is able to kind of find like a nice balance almost. And it's a bit of a shame because I think you can never really please both sides, because after every single live stream, like the most recent content live stream, I would consider that to be one of the best new content lives that we've ever had, just because of the sheer amount of free stuff that we're getting and how many like awesome, cool skins that we're getting. And then you go on Twitter and then everybody's complaining about it. And it's just like, these people will just never be happy. Like they just complain about everything. And I think that's the kind of the sad thing about it. But I realized like, it's just, you can just kind of take what you get out of it. You know, if you enjoy it, then it's just fine. Then don't really worry about what other people say. I'm kind of getting on a tangent here. But in terms of the horror, I really do wish they would lean into it a little bit more. Because I think that's why I started playing the game initially, is I found it very scary. And I still get scared quite a lot in the game in terms of like jump scares, but never really that kind of atmospheric horror. I feel like that's something that kind of loses its effect as you play the game more and more. But I still think it's definitely still there. And I really do enjoy that aspect. And I think at least in terms of Dentist, like new design, I think it's pretty creepy, but I really do wish we'd get like some more creepy skins in the future. I think a really good example of a skin that I find to be quite creepy in terms of like survivor designs is, I forget what it's called, but I think it's called Cunning Smile Disease. It's a mechanic skin, where she's basically just getting like electrocuted and her skin, she's got like a really creepy smile. It's like smile disease or whatever. And I really like that skin because it's scary. Like that is a very creepy skin, both in terms of lore and design. And you really ever see people playing with that skin. Normally people play like the super fashion, like, oh, look at me, I'm so fashionable, I'm so pretty, ha ha ha. But you don't really see people playing with like the horror-y and like creepy skins anymore, which is a bit of a shame because I think the Cunning Smile Disease is probably my favorite mechanic skin. And I really wish they would definitely do more of those in the future. So for me personally, I would definitely like to see them lean into horror more, but I don't think that the general audience of IDV really prefers that as much. Next up, we have some questions here from Chai Loves Mulchibi. The first one is, will we ever get a part 2 of the Power Outage Chronicles with Norton and Nagito? Oh yeah, so that was a pretty interesting video from a while back when my power went out in my apartment. And this is back when I still was doing daily videos and I did not want to break my streak at all. So doing so, what I did for that video, if you guys have seen it, it's just like, I forget what it's called, but it's called like when your power outage or when your power goes out, but you still keep your daily video streak or something like that. I forget. But essentially I just did like a 2-minute video where my roommate, it was because of a storm. There was like a big storm and it made us lose power. Like the entire area around us lost power. And then my roommate went out to try to go like get tacos from a taco truck because she was hungry. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to record a video while she's gone and I'm going to try to upload it with data. So I just did that video. I put it together and then I had to stand out in the storm for like 2 hours just to upload it because I had to go outside, but it uploading was so slow. So I had to walk all the way out to like where we had better reception. And then we just kind of like, my roommate also came with me. I don't know why she did, but she was just bored. So she came with me eating her tacos. And it was very cold. And we just kind of just sat out there and talked about stuff for like 2 hours as it was uploading. It was a very interesting night, but we somehow were able to just barely upload the video on time, which is funny because now I don't even do daily videos anymore. I kind of just do like, I just kind of upload whatever I feel like or whatever I have time. Because daily videos was very, very challenging, I will say. It's very difficult to do in terms of time. But I don't know if I'd ever do like a second part to that. Just because of the unique circumstances of that one. I think I definitely could, but I would need to feel a bit inspired, and I don't know if I have anything that would be as entertaining as that, at least at the current moment. Their second question is, will you collab with any non-competitive IDV creators? We love the competitive scene, but I feel like IDV has more to represent and more voices to lift up, such as the lore or casual community. Yeah, I mean, I definitely have collabed with several creators that don't like try super hard in rank before. It's definitely not the ones that I collab with too often, but I definitely could look into doing that in the future. But again, that would have to be something that that would take place after COA. So maybe I could look into doing something like that after COA. But until COA ends, it's kind of just it's just COA. That's all I'm thinking about, bro. For the next 2 months is just COA for me. The third question is a bit of a long one. Often with how much content is added to the game, especially during the times of the year IDV hosts COA, IVS, and IVL, and some content gets delayed, especially the story and series, such as guessing your ranks, as it's not really fun to submit something just for months to pass, and the game to make so many changes, the submission you send in becomes leftovers and it gets replaced by another submission period. The question being, what would your thoughts be on having a partner to help with editing, the lore, even videos, as they were so helpful for me to watch and go through them rather than do them in game? And maybe give some of the extra DYR submissions to other high-rank content creators if they want them, so they don't go to waste and it helps give them more content / viewership. That's a bit of a long one. And yeah, that definitely is some very valid thoughts. I think the biggest thing with guessing your rank that I try to balance out is that I don't like spamming that series. I do really enjoy that series, and I know it's the most popular series on the channel, but I don't want people to become burned out from the series. That's the thing. If I were to spam like a guessing your rank every week, I think people would kind of get a little bit tired of it. And I think what makes the series special and fun is that it just kind of shows up maybe like once a month. I'm not really a person that likes kind of overblowing content. I say as I spam tournament videos, but I also just find a bit more passion in terms of like hardcore studying the tourney videos in terms of like the latest meta. I don't know, but I guess it just feels like something that I enjoy doing a little less often, just to kind of keep the excitement up there. But I definitely could do it, I think, just a bit more often, so that way we can get more people into it, and especially when the game updates so much. That's the difficult thing about it as well, is like I like doing a lot of the submissions, but we get a lot of submissions and it's hard to go through as a single person, and then with all the other content in the game, of course, and so many people wanting to submit, it's hard to kind of find that balance, which is why I do it like every month or so with one video. So yeah, I mean, I could definitely look into maybe passing off some to other content creators if I can't finish all of them. That is for sure. But I think it's probably something I got to look into handling like a little bit better, or like maybe limit the submissions more often, because I tend to try to find like a good balance of limiting submissions. And I usually do like 200, 250, which usually ends up being too often. So I probably have to like lower it to like 100, 150. It's just a bit of a shame because I know a lot of people will go out of their way, record the match, and it's like, oh, sorry, submissions are filled. And it's just like, oh, dang, I just wasted my time and now I got to wait 3 months for the next one. I don't know. It's a difficult series to handle. It really is. As for the lore videos, that's something that I fell very, very far behind on. So think of the lore videos like the story events, right? I used to do a lot of videos on the story events and whatnot. And then ever since the 2024, ever since the 2024 Christmas one, I kind of fell behind on all of them. Not to mention, I never even did the 2024 2 anniversary events, which I still have recorded, by the way. And it's just not edited. The biggest reason why I kind of stopped doing them is, it's funny, I actually have recorded nearly every single event in full, and I have it all. Like, I have it all in my files. The problem is editing that is just going to be, like, it's just going to take forever. And I cannot really do it just because of how much new content that there always is. So I kind of have to, like, find a time to edit it, which is very difficult because it means giving up time. And the biggest reason why I kind of stopped was those videos, as much as I loved doing them, they took forever to film, and they took forever to edit for very, very, very little reward. I mean, at the end of the day, despite me being so passionate about this, it is a job, and I have to do what is financially, like, important. And if I spend all this time on a video that I know is not going to perform well, it kind of just kills my momentum in doing so. And that feels a little bit bad, especially since they take so much time to do, and so much organization and so much editing. It does take a while. It's sad because I really enjoy doing them. But I guess the question is, like, would you want a partner or an editor? I've considered it many, many, many a times to get a partner or an editor. The problem is I would want to find one that is able to replicate my style pretty well, which I think is not super difficult. But the real issue is in terms of funding them. So many editors on YouTube are overworked and underpaid, and that is the last thing that I would ever want to do as a creator. I would want to give them like a very, very good wage if I were to have them, work on my videos. And that is not something I can afford. I simply cannot afford that. That's why I haven't done it yet. I simply edit all my videos because I cannot afford an editor. And if I could, maybe I'd consider it. But again, I cannot afford it. Next up, we have a question here from Jochi Mochi. After their little congrats, they say, since you are part of the B4U team now, bestest team that has represented your server for years, what do you think are the things you can contribute to them in terms of strategy, synergy, and all things that can help the team move even further? Yeah, so after I announced it publicly, we've kind of been trying to figure out what the duties are going to be, since I think most of B4U's previous managers were kind of non-existent. They just didn't do anything. So the biggest thing that we're kind of trying to figure out is like things for me to do. Currently, what I'm doing right now is working with them in a couple things that I cannot mention just yet, but in terms of actual strategy and like team synergy, the only thing that I can do is make critiques when I see them when we're doing practice, because I usually will watch all the practices and record them and make sure that they're all like organized. That's like the biggest thing that I do for practice. And whenever I see like a play that I think could be better, I'll talk to the coaches about it and be like, hey, can they have done this? And they'll be like, yeah, they could have done that. And that as well as with interactions. Whenever there's like a specific interaction with like two characters, I can usually try to research that on my own and tell them about that. I think one thing that I remember that they didn't know, this wasn't when I was manager, but it's something I just did as like a helpful thing, is back like when Hullabaloo was in for COA 8, they were testing out Hullabaloo quite a bit. And I remember I was able to tell them about the Hullabaloo clone pointing to the nearest survivor. They didn't know about that, which was pretty interesting. So I remember I was able to help them with that. And it's just like small niche things like that in terms of gameplay, because usually I can't help them out in terms of gameplay. I'm usually the one learning from them since they're just really, really strong. But I'll be helping them a lot more from like behind the scenes kind of stuff. It's like whatever they need, I can definitely help out with. And I think that one of the biggest things that I'm going to be looking at going forward is collecting data on other teams as well. Looking at like what characters that they like playing, what characters like are their other players most efficient with, stuff like that. That way it gives like the coaches, Aaron and Anton, a little bit more time to actually focus on the in-game stuff, and they don't have to go out of the way to collect the data, and they can kind of leave that more tedious work to me. So I think manager, I guess it's like I almost want to say it's like an intern, as opposed to a manager, because I'll basically just be taking a lot of the tasks that is like busy work and giving them more time to focus on getting a better game in the future. And we're still figuring out like what future duties can be, since it's still a very early position right now. We're kind of working things out, but I think a lot of us are happy with what we're kind of starting to get the ball rolling with a little bit here. So that'll be fun. Next up, we have some questions here from Saint Juanis. They say, Zeez, do you think you'll ever make your own Scribbled Ideas map? I'd love to see what you could conjure. Yeah, I haven't made a Scribbled Ideas map since it first came out. That is one of those things that, once again, would probably just take a lot of time. I think what I personally wanted to do was I wanted to make like a Scribbled Ideas kind of challenge where I could create a Scribbled Ideas map that's like a parkour, like a speedrun based thing. And I would be like, okay, the winner, whoever like gets the best speedrun on my map will be able to, I don't know, maybe get like a $50 Echo prize or something like that. I thought I could make like a little challenge around like Scribbled Ideas maps in the future. But I think the biggest thing I would need to do is I need to actually learn how to use the game mode a little bit more, because I think the biggest thing is I don't really know how to get like a lot of the events programmed and triggered. I'm not really super familiar with all of that. So before I were to do anything like that, I'd kind of have to learn the game mode a little bit more. But I think I would definitely be interested in something like that. It's just, once again, it would take a lot of time. So I need to find some time to do it. Next up is a question from Breadbutter4, and they ask, how much longer are you planning to play this game? I'd be depressed if you leave. Yeah, this is weirdly enough a question I get very often. People are always wondering like, oh, well, you know, what happens when you leave? Because you're one of the bigger content creators, that I feel like it would be kind of sad if you left. And I totally get that. It was kind of the same with, I know that people really liked Persuable and Gaming Grizzly, and it felt like there was a big void when they left. And I think a lot of people, when I was growing as a content creator, I got compared to those two quite a bit. And they were like, oh, you're kind of filling that void a little bit, which was pretty tough because it felt like there were a lot of expectations. I won't lie. In terms of how much longer I'll be playing this game, I can't really give you a realistic answer. If I'm being fully honest with you, I just don't know. I think the biggest thing is that I still really enjoy the game, and I really enjoy the friends that I've made in the game, and I really enjoy my community. And those are the three reasons why I'm still playing the game, I think. But I won't lie that this is the most stressful community I think in gaming I've ever been a part of. And I don't think there's a single month that goes by where I don't consider quitting, just like on the spot, just in terms of like, I just can't take the stress anymore. It's just too much, because the expectations are, well, they're very high. Let's just say it feels like nearly everything that I say is like scrutinized and put under a microscope half the time. And that feels very exhausting sometimes, just not being able to just kind of have some fun playing the game sometimes. I think one of the biggest things that people always say is like, oh, I really miss your old videos. You sounded so much more happy. You sounded so much more excited about the game in comparison to now. And I think it's somewhat unfair, but also somewhat justified at the same time, because I still have a lot of fun. I still feel that I'm quite excited and passionate about a lot of aspects of the game. But I don't think it's like, I do think nowadays, I don't think I'm having as much fun as I did in the past. And I think the biggest reason for that is when I was a new content creator, I was just kind of doing my own thing and having fun with the game. And it didn't really feel like there was any expectation. And I think that was the biggest thing. I felt very free to create what I enjoyed. And there wasn't like any expectation or any kind of demand or any kind of restrictions that anybody put on me. It was just like, I can play the game and just do what I want and just have some fun. But now it's like, it's a lot harder now because I know a lot more people. I have connections to NetEase, which means I have to like, you know, meet some of their demands. I have to do all these other obligated things that I've found myself promising and being obligated to. Of course, just in general, being in a lot higher of a tier makes the gameplay itself way, way harder, because I'm not in a low tier where I can just, you know, win for free because the hunter is bad. I actually have to try and win every match. And just in general, it's just like, it just making content on the game just got harder. Just because of the demands from the community, the demands from NetEase, the demands from myself. It got a lot more difficult. So, to be fully honest with you, I don't know how long I'll be continue playing, but I will say, I think if a good amount of people in this community are to quit, I would probably quit alongside them. Like, for example, I think if B4U and Zeus and Hikaru, like if they all quit, I I would probably consider doing it too. I mean, I have plenty of friends that I could still talk with and I'm very, very close to, but it's just like, I think especially like when B4U finally as a team disbands, I think for me, that would just be like, okay, I think it's time. You know, I think it's time. Because B4U's been playing for a very, very long time, and I've grown rather close to them. And I think without a team like B4U pushing the limits of what's possible for NAEU, I think the only one left would be me and some of the other like big content creators. And I feel like that void to fill would be very, very huge, where I feel like right now, in terms of like B4U and I, we kind of work together and pushing the best for the server. But if I were to lose them and several of the other big content creators, it would feel like the gap to fill would be next to impossible. And at that point, I'd want to pass the torch, I guess. And I would probably, I don't think I would ever stop fully. That's the biggest thing. I don't find myself ever stopping fully. I would probably just like only upload videos on occasion. Like maybe like, oh, a new character comes out, let's take a look at this. Oh, a new skin for a character I really, really like comes out, let's do that. Or maybe it's just like, you know, maybe I just feel like it today, sure. But it would go from being an active channel to maybe uploading like 2 to 3 times a month, you know? Very rarely, very, very rarely. It'd just be like a little side project that I just kind of come back to every now and again, as like the uncle that you don't really get to see too often, you know, something like that. Whereas like right now you get to see me multiple times a week. In the future, it might just be, you know, a couple times a month, you know, and I think that would be fine for me personally. I wouldn't be like a big driving force in terms of trying to create a better community. I'd just kind of be like that uncle that shows up every once in a now again, and his videos are just kind of there just for fun. You know, it'd be back to going to those like just for fun kind of days. So yeah, I can't really give you a concrete answer, but I do think if other major people in this community were to leave, I would probably most likely be leaving shortly after them. Next up, we have some questions from Fish something. I'm not really sure what it says. They say, hi Zeez, congrats. I know it makes you nervous, but you absolutely deserve to be alongside B4U at COA this year. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. They say, however, I was curious what this offer means for your team RIPTide. Are you guys disbanding, or are you still remaining a part of that team as a player? Thank you. I'm so excited to see how far B4U makes it this year. As am I, Fish. Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I think like as a manager position, I can still probably just stay on RIPTide. I think that's probably fine. But I don't know if I'll be staying on RIPTide too much longer. There are still some things that we kind of have to figure out on RIPTide, especially after some of the COA news. I'm not really going to get into it super much here, but I don't know if I'll be on RIPTide for too much longer. That is something that I just don't know. That's just kind of an uncertain future. But in terms of like, just in general being on like a competitive team, I think I'd probably be able to be on like one of those casual competitive teams, because I do know that I think several players that play on like the more top teams definitely have like secondary teams that they play on that are more like casual competitive, where it's like they're not as good as our top players, but they're trying to step into the scene and play alongside and try to like get better. And I think I could definitely find myself playing on a team like that, because that's kind of where RIPTide is we're not like a top team, but we're just kind of like a casual competitive team, where it's like we try to play competitively, but we don't really go super hard into it. So I don't know if I'll be on the team for too much longer. That just kind of depends on kind of what happens with our future members, I would say. But I don't know. I don't really have a certain answer to give you there. I don't really have I guess I'm uncertain about how it looks in the future. That's all I can really say. Next up, we have some questions here from Rad. Shout outs to Radicus Max here. They are a big supporter of the channel, both in terms of donations and just like in general being such a great member of the community. But they say, for questions, I guess my first is if you consider pushing to Hydra. I remember it being a goal of yours at one point, but it was shoved around by new Survivor releases and such, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I find to be difficult for my push to Hydra, is because when I push for Hydra, I have to play 2 ranked sessions usually a day, because usually I play afternoon sessions with Hikaru, and I really like doing that. And I don't want to give that up, especially when it's like early season as well, because we get to 4 stacks. So I get to play with like, you know, Zeus or Schmitty or Mim. Like it's so much fun to play with everybody and all my friends. So I really like doing that, because I find the most fun in IDV playing with friends. But I do really want to push for Hydra. That's something that I've never gotten before, and I do think I can make it. I definitely think I could tie my way to Hydra without too much trouble. I'd probably be one of those like 60 to 70% win rate Hydras, not like one of those crazy like 95% win rate Hydras. I definitely can't be that. But I definitely think like with my skill set nowadays, I could definitely make it. It's just getting into the grind of it And it's just kind of hard to push for it consistently, because if I do it, I have to do 2 ranked sessions a day, which is 4 hours on top of regular content and doing stuff for other things and doing B4U stuff nowadays. So it's all just about finding the time to do it. And I think if it was reasonable for me to do night sessions consistently, I'd be able to do it. But the problem is I only have 2 ranked sessions available for me, because the morning session for me is at 2 in the morning to 4 in the morning. And I usually wake up at like 8 to 9 in the morning. And if I go to sleep at 4, I don't get any sleep. So I cannot do the morning session. And so the only other one is 5 to 7 for my time. And usually around that time, I'm working on other projects. So it's usually the timing of it is very, very difficult. It's something that I really do want to do, though. And I think one season, I'm going to make it my goal. I don't know when it is, but I think maybe in the summer, because that's usually the time I'm most free in terms of IDV. Maybe I'll try to find like a time where I can finally go for a double Melly S, where I want to get S badge Melly and S badge Queen Bee, and potentially even be S1 for both. I think that would be like my ultimate Identity 5 goal. Like that is like, before I ever leave, I think Identity 5, like I was talking about quitting earlier, I think my ultimate goal will become S1 entomologist and S1 Queen Bee at the exact same time. That is something that I want to achieve before I quit, I think. The second question Rad has is, secondly, how do you feel about the game's balance right now? Do you like the current meta and feel of matches, or would you like it differently? The meta is pretty interesting right now because it's been going through a lot of different changes. I mean, we went from COA 8 where it was super hunter-sided, and then we got into audience effect meta that was just really, really stupid. And now we're kind of in that, like, Survivor's got 10 billion buffs, Hunter's got 10 billion nerfs, and we're definitely in more of a tie/Survivor-sided COA this year. And I think for me personally, I do find it quite interesting, although I would really like to see a few more changes because it's kind of just a tie fest. For me, I'm really hoping for yet another OP Hunter. I do like it that Survivors are kind of finally getting a chance to kind of step back into the meta, since for pretty much the last arguably 2 years, it's just been Hunter domination. So for me, at least, I really want to see another OP Hunter, at least one Hunter that the game kind of has to revolve around. Because right now in tournaments, it's mostly like round 1, you can go anything. Round 1, you can literally just go anything. You can go counter pick, but you still have all the meta options. You have your Goatman, your Sangria, your Queen Bee's not available yet, but Queen Bee in the future. You got the Granny, and you got Ivy, stuff like that. Their Q is there too. People going freaking Ann in round 1 as like a counter pick. They realize like, oh, you go Officer, let me go Ann, and I can 3-kill off of that as long as I get one target down. So it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. For me, I really just hope that we get like an OP Hunter, like a Hunter that is so OP that the game just revolves themselves around it. It was like, that's what COA 7 was. It was Opera. And COA 8, it was Goatman, Hullabaloo, and then obviously Opera Ivy was so broken as well. I mean, that COA 8 was the most Hunter-sided meta in existence. But I just want like one Hunter that just the game itself revolves around in round 1, and then everything after that is it's just like kind of what we have now. So for me, I'm really hoping that Dentist will be that Hunter, because I don't think Queen Bee will be that Hunter. I think Queen Bee will be extremely, extremely strong. I think she's easily a top 300 in the game. But I don't know if she'll be like what the game revolves itself around. I really hope that Dentist is just OP. I'm going to be honest. I hope that Dentist is just kind of OP and just like, we have to watch out for Dentist. Like, he's like so OP. And that way for IJL and IVL, he's just going to be absolutely broken. And the game's going to revolve around him. It's like, how do we beat Dentist? Because he's so OP, you know? That's what I find to be most interesting. Is like back in COA 7. That was like my first COA. It was so fun watching. It was like, how do you beat Opera Singer, you know? That was like the big challenge. It was like all these people coming up with so many creative ideas. People are picking Thief on Ever Sleeping, Painter, who was considered to be trash, like just to try to get some niche wins on Opera because she was so overpowered. And it was the same with Hullabaloo and Goatman. They're just playing all these like weird characters. Like, if you could get one out, that's considered a success. And I find like those matches to be so exciting because yes, I think for a lot of people, it's very frustrating just to see the same character just win. But I think it's so much more interesting when Survivors are just like have their backs to the wall and have to strategize and do their best against this OP Hunter. And then later in the rounds, then they can show their true potential and get like 3 escapes against the less powerful Hunters. That's what I like. I usually like, for me, I think the most balanced tourney for me, round 1 would be OP Hunter. Hunter should always win. Unless the Survivors just completely outplay the Hunter should always win. Round 2 in tourney should be ties. And so it's just kind of like, it's like balance. Like Hunters and Stars equal in power. Round 3, I'd like it to be Survivors. Ideally, that is what I think is like the best setup. Because you start with the Hunters being OP, and then as more things get banned, the Survivors start getting stronger. You have the bigger selection is there, and you have less Hunters to choose from. So I think that's what I would say. That's my ideal spot for it. But I do think right now Sorari's are just insanely strong. And I would like to see that change just a little bit going forward, I think. I'd like to see, like, at least one OP hunter. That's all I'd like to see, just one. Finally, Rad asks, where is he, Zeez? Where is the duck? He is your biggest fan. So one thing that Rad did, much to my dismay, is that they gifted me one of my worst enemies of all time. That's right, B-Duck. And I still have B-Duck. I haven't accepted it yet, but I'm gonna have to play with that duck eventually, bro, unfortunately. That duck, just like Peter Ratchery, bro. Peter Ratchery and B-Duck are gonna be on my account, tainting it forever. But because it was gifted, I feel obligated. I feel like I have to play with the duck at least one time, just once, the gosh darn B-Duck. So I don't know when it will happen, but it will. As much as I don't want it to happen, it will. It will happen. Next, we have a question here from Meatski Girl. They ask, would you ever consider getting opening a PO box? I know some YouTubers do it. I'm sure fans would love to send art, little gifts, and other things. This is actually a request I've gotten multiple times, and I've actually been considering it a lot more recently. This might be something, again, I do like maybe after COA. I think the only problem is I live in Seattle currently, and I don't know how much longer I'll be living in Seattle. I might be moving toward the latter half of this year. I don't know for sure just yet. So if I do open it, I don't know how long I'd be able to keep it open, but I am considering it. It is definitely something that's on my radar, so I won't confirm yes or no for now, but all I can say is that yes, I'm considering it. Next up, we have some questions here from Livrodasso. Interesting. I don't know if I'm butchering that name, but they say, what is the video you've most enjoyed making? That's a really tough one because I guess in terms of IDV, not my other channel videos, that one's definitely pretty tough. I think the videos that I have the most fun making, I don't know if there's like one specific one. There definitely are ones that I find more fun to be others. But I think the ones that I tend to have the most fun with are the ones where I'm playing with friends. Those are always like the best ones. Because for me, I find the game most fun when I'm playing with friends. I really enjoy the community aspect of the game. So I would say probably that one, or not that one, but like I would say probably those types of videos where I'm playing with friends are really, really fun, especially in a four stack situation. The other ones that are the most fun are the ones where I get to kind of like just have a little bit more fun making the video in terms of like post-production, I guess. I think one of the biggest ones was the painter birthday video where I did one match equals one drawing or something like that. And that was really fun. It's tough. There's a lot of different fun ones, I think. I think it's more like the ones that I can have a lot of fun with in terms of editing, or the ones that I just play with friends. I don't really know if there's a specific one single video that I find to be the most fun, but I would say something along the lines of that, I would say is definitely the case. Their second one is, if you could give one advice regarding content creation, what would it be? The biggest piece of advice for me, and it's something that people overlook a lot, is simply titles and thumbnails. That is literally it. I know it's like what every YouTuber says, but it's so true. Titles and thumbnails make everything. Because the first part about getting people to watch your video is you have to get people to click on a video. If you can't get people to click on a video, you're not succeeding. It doesn't matter how good your video is. Your video could be one of the best videos ever made. And if your thumbnail is garbage, people still won't watch it because you didn't get them to click on it. That's the biggest things in terms of content creation, is getting people to at least click on your video. And then from that point, you can figure out how to kind of create better actual content itself. Of course, the title thumbnail is kind of just the promise that you give to the viewer, and the content is supposed to be what keeps them there and sells the video to them. So if you cannot get people to click initially, you're kind of already failing in that aspect. Of course, both do matter. The actual content itself matters, because if people click and then the video sucks, then the audio quality is terrible, they're just going to click off immediately, and then your view time is terrible, then nobody will click. But it's like, it's finding a good balance of that. But still, there are so many creators, I think, in this community that make really, really good content, but if I'm being completely honest, their thumbnails are just pretty bad. And it's because of that the thumbnails are bad and titles are bad, that they're not getting as many views and attention as they could be. Their third one is, do you have any hobbies outside of gaming? Yes, gaming is probably the number one hobby that I have, but I have a lot of other hobbies as well. I haven't really got to pursue a lot of my hobbies recently, but I love drawing. Don't really get to do it too often, but I absolutely love drawing, love writing. I've recently really loved cooking thanks to my roommate. Roommate's been teaching me a lot of how to cook, so I absolutely love cooking. That's been really fun to learn about, or learn a lot with. Clearly talking is not a hobby of mine. Oh my goodness. Another hobby that I'm getting into is more TCG. I've been learning Yu-Gi-Oh a little bit. My friend has started teaching me the Pokemon TCG game as well. So maybe like the trading card games is definitely something I'm getting into. Of course, all things in terms of video production is just like, I'm just like a huge nut in terms of that. Like just, I absolutely love looking at new editing techniques, or like photography and videography is like very, very fascinating to me. Even like looking into like video essays is something I want to do a lot more in the future as well. I know there's a lot of unexplored passions that I feel like I have that I don't really have a lot of time to get to explore. Their fourth question is, would you ever consider making your own game? That one's actually pretty funny because I actually was working on my own game for a while with my roommate. We haven't worked on it in a while, but I was an artist and programmer on the game. They were just a programmer. And we actually had a lot of fun creating a lot of stuff for the game because we would kind of like come up with the story together, and then I would like draw up the character designs and whatnot, and then they would mostly focus on programming. We all did like a little bit of each, and it was really, really fun. But of course, we kind of stopped working on it several years ago just because it became too difficult to continue working on just with our busy schedules. But I think it's something that we're both considering maybe taking a look at again one day in the future. So I don't know. That'd be something for like a few years from now, but it's definitely something I'm considering. And I would definitely need to brush up on my programming because my programming skills are very rusty. Their fifth question is, if you ever saw Joshua IRL, what would you do and say to him? I would probably not say a single word to him, and I'd just probably throw him straight into the nearest volcano and just watch him and die. Yeah, I'd just probably watch him die. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. If I ever met Melly IRL, what would you do and say to her? I would probably, I would probably like freak out because I'd be like, oh my gosh, Melly, you're real and awesome and cool. That's actually really tough. I think, honestly, the biggest thing I think that I'd want to do for Melly is I'd probably just be like, could you be my teacher? Like, could you teach me about entomology? I think that'd just be really fascinating. And I think it'd be just really interesting to like learn from her. Melly just strikes me as a person with a lot of life experience, but also just like very dedicated to her craft in terms of like studying entomology and everything else. And I think I can learn a lot from her. I think she'd be like a really, really good teacher, but I feel like I'd also want to like end up being her friend because I don't know, I really enjoy Melly's character, and I think she'd be a very, very good friend, as long as you don't betray her. I think that's the biggest thing, because poor Melly has been betrayed, and it's very, very hard for her to trust people. I think it'd be very cool to have like a nice friendship with her, or be able to be like her student in terms of learning from her. I don't know. I think I just want to be her friend. I think that'd just be really neat. Next up, we have a question from Merten Shoin. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but they say, this is a silly question, but do they make you use your own skins on COA, or do they give you an account with all the skins ever in tournaments? Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Interesting question. For those that don't know, there is a tournament server that exists. There are actually 3 different types of servers. You have your live servers, which is what everybody plays on usually. You have your test servers, which is just testing the game. There's no skins on that. And then you have the tourney server. On the tourney server, those are exclusive to tourney players. No one else really gets access. And on the tourney server, every single skin, I'm talking every skin in the game, is available to use no matter what. The only thing is they'll probably tell you which skins are like banned for tournament. Like I think, for example, Picture Women, you're not allowed to play that in tournaments. And this year, unfortunately, all the Japanese IP crossovers are now banned, just due to the political state of the world. So you cannot play with those. However, every skin is on that. So for practices, you can use those skins. You just can't play them in tournaments right now. But for the most part, hopefully when things get resolved, you'll be able to pretty much play any skin that you want in tournament. So that's pretty cool. Next up, we have some questions here from Kappa Jimin. Their first one is, what is currently your most anticipated game of 2026? Mine is Kingdom Hearts 4. Hoping for some news. Also favorite character from Kingdom Hearts. Well, Kingdom Hearts, my favorite character is easily Roxas. Easily, without a doubt. I absolutely love the Days trio, Roxas, Axel, and Xion. But yeah, Roxas is easily my favorite from Kingdom Hearts 4. For my most anticipated game of 2026, I think that's got to be Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. I'm a huge Fire Emblem nerd. I absolutely love Fire Emblem, so I'm really looking forward to Fortune's Weave this year. I probably won't be live streaming. I'll probably be making like a Let's Play on it, so I'll be very excited to play that game when it comes out. Very, very fun. Their second question is thoughts on the new Pokemon game / your favorite Pokemon. I think I've talked about my favorite Pokemon before where I don't know for sure if it is or not, but I love Badoo. Badoo, the little grass poison type. He's just such a cute little guy. I love Badoo so much. Very, very dear to my heart. I don't know if he is my favorite because it's really hard to pick, but he's definitely easily in my top 5, easily. And then my thoughts on the new Pokemon game for Pokemon Winds and Waves. I mean, they didn't really show off too much of it, but it actually does look pretty promising. I mean, the graphics, people always complain about Pokemon graphics. They do look pretty nice. It's probably going to be pretty, looks pretty nice on Switch too, is what I'm going to guess here. The new starters are, I mean, I'm a little 50-50 on them. They're not the best starters, but I don't think they're that bad either. I mean, I didn't really like them at first. I thought they were kind of ugly, but yeah, they grew on me pretty quick. I do kind of like the bird. I forget, what was it called? Like Brout or something like that. I forget what the bird is called, something like that. I'll probably be getting him. I'll probably be getting that little goofy bird. I don't know. It just looks pretty goofy. So I'm looking forward to Winds and Waves. It comes out, I think, next year, right? So I'll definitely be picking up, and hopefully it'll be fun. Their third question is, what do you think of my super awesome Patroller Percy? I mean, Patroller Percy. I mean, that's something, I guess. That's definitely something. You're definitely gonna get a hit with that. That's for sure. I mean, hey, if there's Blinked Percys out there, there's got to at least be a Patroller Percy out there, right? You know, it only makes sense. Their fourth question is, they say, you said you like marine life. What is your favorite fish / sea creature? Yeah, I mean, I find marine life to be very, very fascinating. In fact, I actually marine biology was one of the majors that I was considering when I was growing up. I mean, I was considering so many different majors, but marine biology was definitely one of them. It's kind of hard. I don't know if I have specifically a favorite fish or sea creature. I really do like orca whales. I find orca whales to be very, very fascinating, even though they're technically dolphins. Most species of fish are also very, very cute, but I'm also a bit partial to like arthropods. I know trilobites went extinct, but I really like trilobites. Just like learning about trilobites, I don't know, they're really, really cute. But I guess I like arthropods. I don't know. I think arthropods are like really, really cute. I don't know. I kind of like the marine arthropods. I don't know. Maybe those are my favorite. That's tough. I don't know if I really have a favorite though. I'll have to consider it more. Next up, we have a question here from Stradatori, a wonderful member of the community. Love always seeing them comment. They say, for a more silly question, are there any appearance-related enhancements / modifications that you like to do? I don't know how to phrase that better, but I mean stuff like makeup, nail polish, accessories, temporary tattoos, etc. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think that's something that is different for, a lot of people. And I'll tell you, growing up, I didn't really care, like, at all. I kind of just, like, would make sure my basic hygiene was met in terms of, like, just taking a shower, and that was really it. But no, as I grew up, I cared, like, a little bit more about my appearance. I didn't really care, like, all throughout high school and whatnot. But as I grew up, I started caring this a little bit more to try to, I guess, make myself look more presentable in terms of that, because I just didn't really care about what I looked like when I was younger, and I think a lot of people didn't. I think the main thing that I really do now is just make sure, like, whenever I go out, that my hair looks nice, and I make sure to just follow, like, a very basic skincare routine, but I don't really think I do much outside of that. It's very basic. I wouldn't say it's anything super advanced. It's just very basic level stuff. Just making sure that, like, I'm clean, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know if I do anything excessive in terms of, like, I don't really use eyeshadow or anything like that, or makeup. I've never really done any nail polish or temporary tattoos of the sort. So I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that I can really say. I do have some accessories as well, like in terms of hats. I love hats a lot. I don't know if you would really consider that. I do have a necklace and a bracelet as well, but I usually don't really wear them because they're more sentimental, and I don't really want, like, to lose them and whatnot. So I don't really wear them. But I did used to wear a necklace a lot of the time, but it kind of, like, broke, and then I had to fix it. And I don't know. It was from my mom, so it's, like, a little sentimental, and I don't want it to break. But yeah, I don't know. I think outside of just, like, making sure my hair and face are, like, clean and washed, there's not really anything, like, super excessive that I do. Maybe I could look more into in the future. I'm not really sure. Next, we have a question here from Boot Hill. They say, I know you've talked about not thinking you were good enough to do guides in the past, but I'm wondering if you think you are currently, and if you'd be open to them. Your commentating explanation of why pro hunters or survivors do certain things, and your gameplay in general have helped me grow a lot as a player, and help me reach peak tier for Hunter, and I think that the guides would be easier for those who can't watch long streams for the advice. That's kind of crazy because I haven't even been Hydra yet, so it's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, I think one day soon. I mean, if you asked me last year, I would say no. And I would still, honestly, for right now, I would say no. But I'm getting to a point where I'm going to be comfortable, I think, maybe in about 6 months to another year. I think before I ever want to, I want to get Hydra first. I'd want to get Hydra and kind of play in that environment and really like fundamentally understand it from a gameplay perspective and not just being able to watch it. But I would say in the future, yes. I think I need a little bit more time though. I think I'm finally getting to a point where I can finally start making some guides in the future. But not right now. I still need a little bit more time. Next up, we have a question here from Sanzu, and they ask, I was wondering if there will ever be some sort of way to let us know your schedule, like what you're planning to post. If there's any tournaments going, I always wonder if I should wait until you post it, but I'm always unsure if you're even planning to. Yeah, I think that's one of the big things that I've never really done on YouTube. I've always tried to kind of give a schedule to my audience, but especially for IDV and watching tournaments, that's very, very difficult. I think the biggest reason why being an IDV content creator is pretty tough, especially in terms of creating content on tournaments, is that if you live in America, at least, a lot of the tournaments happening when normal people are asleep. So for me personally, like as a full-time creator, I can actually dedicate myself to it. The problem for me, at least, is that I have one of the most inconsistent sleep schedules known to man. I mean, just today, I was up until 4. I fell asleep and I woke up. I fell asleep at 4. I woke up at 6 for a meeting. And then after the meeting, I tried to go back to sleep, but I was simply too much awake. So I stayed up for a little bit longer. Then I took another nap and then I woke up at 1. Now I am recording this video a little bit later and I have to record COA again in the night. And then once this weekend is over, I have to completely reset my sleep schedule so that I can start playing with Hikaru in rank and wake up on time at 10 and then stay awake throughout the day to work on videos and then do stuff with my roommate in the evening. And then I have to reset it again the following weekend for COA once again. So it's very difficult to keep a consistent schedule when your sleep schedule drives you crazy. I generally do have one of the most inconsistent sleep schedules known to man. People always be like, hey, are you awake? And it's just like, I don't know. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. It's quite literally a gamble, especially around COA time. Like I'm usually awake for COA and then an unknown period afterwards because of my other things that I'm dedicated to. It's usually like pretty much my sleep schedule for COA is just, I never get to sleep for a long time consistently. It's just kind of a series of naps. It's just like, oh, I have a few hours here. Let's take a 3-hour nap. Oh, I get time to sleep here. Like while my video is rendering or something, let's take a 3-hour nap here or a 1-hour nap here. It's like, it's really bad. It's definitely not healthy. And I think that's the biggest reason why I can't really keep a consistent schedule is because of, it's impossible. It is just impossible. I just kind of work where I can, sleep where I can, rest where I can. And the consistency just doesn't follow. It really doesn't. It's tough. But I also have a lot of fun doing it. I'm busy, but I have a lot of fun with it. I just think in the future, I'll have to be a bit more, restrictive and more strict about my own sleep schedule, but I think it's still fine for now. But as I grow older, I'll definitely have to be more careful about it. Next up, we have some questions here from my good friend and artist of the channel, Dulce. They ask a question for you, Zeez. Thoughts on both the Witch Hat Atelier anime and the Madoka Magica movie as well. Official release date now in August for Japanese theaters. Oh, I actually didn't even know that. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited for both of them. Really, really excited. I mean, the Witch Hat Atelier manga is one of the most like beautiful mangas that I've ever read, just in terms of like art direction and paneling. And just the story itself is just super fascinating. I really can't wait to see Quifrey on the big screen, bro. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it. I think a lot of people are going to love it. I don't know if it's going to be on like the same like popularity level as like Free Run or something like that, but I do think a lot of people are going to be interested in it. And I think it's going to be pretty big. It also, like the anime itself, just from the trailer, looks absolutely beautiful, and it looks like they really did it justice. So I think it's something that I would recommend to like most people. I haven't even caught up with the manga. I think I've only read about like half of the manga, but it is a beautiful manga. It is so beautiful, and I'm really excited to see the anime. And as for the Madoka Magica movie, I don't even know what the heck to expect from that. I mean, we already know that series is absolutely crazy, absolutely off the walls crazy. I'm just really interested in what's going to happen to Sayaka. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, we already know that Homer is going to be cooking up something crazy, but the biggest mystery with that movie is going to be what the heck Sayaka's up to. So I don't know. I'm excited for both of them, though. It's going to be really fun when they come out. Next, we have a question here from Henry. They ask, do you feel pressured by being considered the biggest content creator and that your actions have a greater impact on the community because of this? Well, I don't know if I'm the biggest one in the NAU sphere. Technically, in terms of subscriber count, that is not true. I think Gaming Grizzly will always be like the biggest one to my knowledge. But I guess like as one of the bigger ones for now. I don't know if it is like the number one, but yeah, I mean, my actions definitely do have a greater impact on the community, because whatever community's content creator is like the biggest or one of the biggest ones, like they're obviously going to be, you know, a big figurehead in the community. And a lot of people are going to be looking to them for, you know, how to look at the game, for looking at the game for advice, in terms of acting as like a person and whatnot. There's a lot of things to consider. And yeah, I mean, I do feel a lot of pressure all the time. And I think a lot of the time the pressure does kind of get to me, because at the end of the day, I really just feel like I'm a regular guy, but just because I enjoyed playing the game and people enjoyed my videos, I now have like a bit more of a responsibility in terms of that, which I found to be something that I don't know if I was quite prepared for, because as a creator growing up, I mean, I watched so many other YouTube content creators where they just kind of played the game, or like they played their games for fun. They got like pretty big view counts, and that was it. Like all they had to do was just play the game and have fun. And it seemed like that was it. But it's like, for smaller communities, it's a little bit different. Of course, it's like, as content creation has grown to be a lot more of a popular thing, people definitely have like a lot higher standards now. And so it's a lot different from how it was when I was growing up. And I think that's probably for the better as well, because we got to make sure that the people that not just are entertaining us, but are acting as, one could say, role models for at least a lot of children, we got to make sure that they're acting properly. And I think that's totally fair. It definitely does put a lot of pressure on to people, though, because they're open to criticism nearly all the time. I mean, I get criticism every single day. And it's tricky when you don't have a proper outlet to express like a way to kind of defend yourself from certain things that you find to be unjust, or if you find that a lot of the criticisms kind of get to you, because a lot of them are valid, but I think the way that people deliver them can be very, very harsh. And I think one thing that I find to be a little depressing, at least, is kind of not considering like the mentality that kind of comes with being a creator. Is just like all these people having opinions on you and talking about you, and it's not really something that you really think about too often when you become a creator, because usually you're just like, oh, I'll just become a creator, that way I can, you know, have some fun with the community or something. I mean, obviously some people do it to get famous. For me, it's just, I just want to do what I love. That's why I became a creator. And I think that's one of the biggest things that is just kind of tricky, is like everything that you do will be judged constantly, and everything that you say will be judged constantly. And that part definitely is pretty rough, because you start kind of second guessing a lot of the things that you start to say, and it really does burn a lot of your confidence, I guess I would say. Sometimes it gets to me. That's why I say almost every month I consider quitting, just because it'd be way better for my mental. But you know, I still love it. Like the bad parts are bad, but the good parts are good. So, you know, it's kind of how much you're willing to put up with. That's all it is. And, you know, everybody has their breaking point. So I don't know. I guess I just haven't yet reached mine. Next up, we have a question here from Payming. They say, hello, do you think we should be able to ban a map on rank? And also, do you think EU will get our own server someday? Those are some good questions. For me personally, I don't think we should ever allow a map ban, because if it was hunters and survivors, like they each get one, that means you have to ban 2 maps each time. And you'd always, and every single hunter would ban hospital. You'd never play on hospital again. And then every single survivor would probably ban like either Moon River Park or Chinatown, like most of the time, because those are the best hunter maps. Maybe Ever Sleeping too. So for me, I would say no. I don't think that's very good. I think it's good that rank is just kind of set to RNG. As interesting as it could be, I think it would just end up being very stale. And I think people would eventually discover to say, yeah, let's just ban Chinatown and Hospital forever. You just never see stuff on that map. And then when it comes to tournament, you won't have practice on that map if you play like that. So I don't know. Map ban only really is for tournaments. I think that's fine, just for tournaments. Second question, though, about EU getting their own server. That one's really tough, and I'm kind of just more theory crafting on this one, but I think the biggest reason why EU does not have their own server is simply due to the lack of player base on any EU. The reason why NA and EU are combined is just because in the West, IDV is not nearly as popular as it is in the East. And if we were to separate the servers, the wait times for everybody would increase by a lot. That's the biggest thing. I think the biggest reason why they haven't done it yet, or if like, I'll get into it, but the biggest reason why they're not separate is just because it would be so much smaller. Like both regions would be so much smaller, especially for EU. EU without NA is like, I think even extra smaller just because of how many people aren't currently playing because of the ping, and NA would be like a little bit bigger. So EU would just be like the smallest server to ever exist. I think from my theory crafting here. With that being said, I think what would be really nice to see would be something like how Asia server does it. So Asia server is actually, you know, it just kind of encompasses a lot of things. You have Japan, you have SEA, etc., etc. And I think what would be best is to kind of split the ranks up in terms of like regions where it takes place on the same server, but you can select if you'd like to be matched with only EU or select if you'd like to be matched with only NA. Like when you go on, so you click on the rank and it's like, what region are you? Are you EU? Are you NA? And if you click on EU, you will only get matched with EU. And if you click on NA, you'll only get matched with NA. I think that would probably be a change that they could do for the better. It would increase the wait times a lot for both regions, especially for certain rank times. Like for example, morning rank for North America. That would be, I mean, no one would play morning session. Like typically if you're an NA player and you play a morning session, you're usually getting EU players, which, you know, would make the EU players suffer. Very sad. And then, you know, when European players are asleep, which I believe would be for, what is it, our evening session? I think probably our evening session, or would it be our afternoon? I actually don't know how it is for EU. I guess I don't really have one that's like dedicated like throughout just literally just midnight. I think it would probably be just, like early morning for our evening. Regardless, they'd probably have like one that's like less common, so the wait times on that would be pretty bad. But I would say I would personally like to see at least the servers stay on the same server. That way people can like keep their accounts. But I'd like it at least if in terms of rank alone, you can choose to just say, yeah, let me play only for EU. That way EU players don't have to deal with like 100+ ping, because there are so many talented players in EU. And I think one of the biggest examples is Kuroshiro, that are just so good at the game, but they are restricted by their ping. The best example that I've seen in terms of like a content creator is Kuroshiro Gaming. I just mentioned that. If you have seen Kuroshiro Gaming play in China, this guy went from like Spider rank, Tarantula, all the way up to Hydra with Sculptor, like pretty much nearly solo Sculptor. Did play a few other things, but nearly solo Sculptor. Had a 95% win rate. 95 in China, which is considered to be the most competitive server. An NAEU player playing in China with a B tier hunter and then getting a 95% win rate. That's insanely impressive. Like you can tell that Kuroshiro is extremely good at this game. Guess what happens when he comes back to NAEU? He's Dragon with 70% win rate. Like, that's just not right, bro. That's just not right. And there's so many other examples. Like, I say Kuroshiro because he's probably the most popular example that people know about. But there's so many other examples of, you know, EU players, especially hunters, that just can't win as often because of the ping. It's that simple, and it's really unfortunate. And it's even annoying for like I know this is like, it's to a lesser extent, but even some NA players are kind of annoyed by it too. Just because like for me, when I get matched with EU, I also have mediocre ping. Like for me, my ping will be 70, which is, you know, for a lot of you out there, that's considered to be, you know, your best ping. But, you know, for me, my best ping is 10. I'd like to play it like 10, 20. That'd be like really good because I can, you know, hit my flywheels. I'm just passively faster. It makes playing the game a lot easier, like in terms of reactions and whatnot. So that's really good. So it's like, you know, I would prefer to have the lower ping, and same with EU. I'm sure like if you have 70 on your best day, if you only got matched with EU, maybe you could get like, also you could get 20, and that'd be awesome. If everybody plays at 20, everybody's true talent comes out. That's one of the biggest things that B4U taught me when I started learning from them. They said your 70 ping is very inconsistent. It's not the best. It's doable, but it's inconsistent. You can work with it, but you're definitely going to be struggling a little bit here and there. It's obviously could be worse, but the biggest thing is that if everybody on the server had 10 MS, we'd all be cooking. We'd be Superman. That's what somebody always says. If you're 10 MS, you're Superman. You can just do whatever you feel like because everything is instant. Every input is instant, and there's just no delay. But the bigger your ping, the longer the delay. And so basically it's just, if you have higher ping, the more challenging it is. And it's like the difference between 20 to 70 for me is just quite noticeable. And then exactly the same for EU players. The difference between like 70 to 120, it's like the same difference. It's very noticeable. And it can be very, very frustrating to deal with. So yeah, that was kind of a bit of a rant, but I would personally love to see not the regions like get their own server, but at least get their own separate regions in terms of being able to rank. It's like just let them choose to only be matched with EU, and then let the NA players only be matched with NA. That would be, I think, a nice fix. The problem is not enough players. I think that's the biggest reason why they haven't done it, is not enough players. All right, and for our last set of questions for the day, it is going to be from Verge, wonderful member of the community. Good to see you out here, Verge. Their first question is what is something that players focus too much on that doesn't actually matter? That one is pretty tricky, actually. And I think one of the biggest things that I would say is badges. Badges, as much as it kind of hurts to say, they don't really matter. I think this is one that's very common amongst high tiers. Most people realize, especially on NAEU at least, is that all you really have to do to get a badge is just spam that character. Like, if you just spam rank matches and spam that character, you can very easily get A badge. S badge might be a little bit tricky because you actually have to like put in the work for it. But if you go from Griffin, or no, let's say you start off at Worker Bee and you go all the way to like Griffin, and you just play one character. Let's say you only play like Prisoner. Prisoner is super powerful. Let's say you only play Prisoner. You could probably get A badge. You'd probably get like 90th Prisoner or something like that. Not too bad. You don't even have to like try. You don't even have to like play well. You could just spam matches, get carried, and just decode the whole time, and you get A badge. I don't think badges necessarily means that a player is particularly good. And I think there's a great example of this, like just for a lot of different characters as well. Because sometimes I'll look on Asia server or even on NAEU itself, and I'll be like, oh, let's look at this S-Badge Prospector, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, that S-Badge Prospector just kited 3 ciphers, and I watched him 4 times in a row, and he kited 3 ciphers every time. And then I look at this other S-Badge Prospector, and they die in 20 seconds. It's just like, oh. And at a lot of the point, it just comes down to the player itself. Something that happens a lot in high-level rank, this is very frustrating, by the way, is if you pick a character without a badge and your teammate, the teammate you're duoed with or something, not duoed with, but the one that you're not duoed with, let's say they pick like an Aeroplanist and they're like S-Badge Aeroplanist, and then they see you and you have like let's say you have an A badge Prisoner, but you don't feel like playing Prisoner, so you play like Fire Lady, and they see like, oh my gosh, they're playing Fire Lady. You're so bad. I'm no badge. Nope, I'm off my Aeroplanist. They switch off and they play like Little Girl, and it's like, what? Are you serious? It's because people care more about maintaining their character point knowledge than actually just trying to win. And it's like, now that you picked Little Girl, you just lose. And that's it. And it's really sad because there are times where, like for example, I was S-Badge Prospector, but then I think like when I was playing in COA, my Prospector was only like a C badge, and I would swap from like a Harasser to play Prospector, and they're like, oh my gosh, get off Prospector, you C badge. And I was like, huh? Bro, first off, I was S-Badge, if you even care, not that it really matters again, but it's like, you were like an S-Badge Aeroplanist, and now you're swapping to like full kite Little Girl, and you die in 20 seconds. It's like, I don't know, it's just dumb. I think people play way too much attention to badges and win rates. In terms of actual things in the game, there's definitely a lot more things as well, but I think that's one of the biggest things that people focus on a bit too much is like win rates and badges, when they don't really think about the nuance of like what impacts those things. The second thing is, what's one gameplay tip you think everyone should know about, but not many do, surprisingly? Ooh, that's gonna be tough. If I had to pick one for both Survivors and Hunters, the first one for Survivors absolutely would be Death Spot. Death Spot is so incredibly important in this game. 100% important. Where you die sometimes is more important than if you can rebound or kite. Like for example, I had a match the other day when I was playing with Hikaru. There was this forward, goated player, absolutely crazy, 3 cipher kited. It was like really, really good, and then continued to kite. But we were able to get a 4-person endgame. The only issue was it was Lakeside Village, and when they finally went down, they were dead on chair. We popped, but they were kiting at Big Rock Gate. The hunter had, I think it was like a geisha or something, I don't remember. It was a very mobile hunter, that's all I remember. It was very mobile. And maybe it was a sangria, I don't know. He got down at Big Rock Gate, after like 10 seconds after the pop. Understandably so, he has no items, there's very few pallets, he died. But the problem was, we were only left with one gate. We had to go all the way to the cornfield gate, which is very, very far. And the cipher was also very far from it. None of us were on it at the start because we were supporting the forward and like doing a few other things, rescuing and finishing up our other ciphers. Regardless, none of us were at that gate yet, right? So we had to run away we had to go to that gate, and I wanted to go to the big rock gate, but forward was there, so I couldn't go there. So I start kind of winning middle. And then the opera kills, and then she teleports, and then or whatever, the hunter killed, whatever it was, I don't remember. She killed the forward in like 10 seconds after endgame, and it's like, okay, that's fine, we can probably tie. But the problem was, she died on the gate. So then the hunter TP'd to the other gate, and somebody was there, the other person that wasn't Hikaru or I. Hikaru was like kind of winning middle, and I was like kind of floating around like near the dungeon potentially, trying to go back to the other side of the map. But they TP'd, got the other person down, killed them, chaired them on the gate, and then I'm running to the other gate. Then Hikaru was waiting middle, but gets spotted out and dies. And then she comes to my gate, and by the time I'm able to get to the gate, I can't even open it in time. But Hikaru didn't self-heal, or didn't get chaired, but I think he self-healed, but the other person died on chair. So we got only one escape. And it felt really bad, because the forward 3 cipher kited, and we had a 4% endgame. If you think about that, as a survivor, 4% endgame, 3 cipher kite, how are we gonna, we tie at worst. How the heck do we lose that? And then you would think that the forward didn't, thankfully. But, a lot of people will look at a match like that and say, oh my gosh, my teammate's through. When in actuality, as much as I really hate to say it, the forward messed up. He died on the gate. And because of that, because trait was ready and you die on a gate, that's tie at worst. And it's like, you need to outsmart the hunter at that point to get a win. If it's a highly mobile hunter like Opera Singer, she's the best hunter in the game for a reason. She's so fast. She can beat you to the gate. She can teleport to one side of the map, kill, and then make it and beat you to the gate on the way back. You won't be able to get it open. The gate was 90 for me. I couldn't get it open. It just didn't finish. Opera was too fast. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that, you can be so goated. You can kite forever. But if you don't die in the right spot, and you don't give your teammates those opportunities to work on the gates or, finish up their ciphers, sometimes you don't win. You could 3 cipher kite, but if you die on the last cipher, you can lose. That's the thing. And I think that's one thing that people don't do a lot, is they just don't really care where they die. They just let me try to rebound. I'll just keep kiting, and I'll just keep kiting, and I'll just keep kiting. And it's the only spot to kite left is on that cipher. Let me go on the cipher. Oh, I died on the cipher. And then the hunter abnormaled, and then everybody's injured, and then it's GG's. And then you lose, or then you tie when you should have won. And I think that's the biggest thing, at least for survivors, that people mess up is not knowing where to die, especially in the late game, because that's where hunters usually take the most advantage out of it. That is for sure. As for hunters, it's a little bit trickier to say one gameplay tip that hunters don't really do. Obviously, I think a lot of people in high tier always try to chair on ciphers whenever possible. But I think one of the biggest things that hunters don't do is a lot of the time they don't get aggressive when they need to. Especially in NAU rank, there are plenty of matches where I've played a match where it's if the hunter teleported to the cipher with their full presence, they would be able to down on the cipher, force us to open up a new cipher and burn out the resources like a tourney hunter does, and then able to refresh, wait for the TP to come back up once again, and then try to get the win with the end game. Because a lot of the time in this game, survivors are so very strong that you kind of have to whittle down their items first and then go for the kill, and just kind of slowly but surely whittle down those resources, burn them out, play that wither game. And I don't think a lot of hunters really do that. And they kind of just invest more on the traditional, let me camp, let me tunnel, let me camp, let me tunnel. And they don't really get super aggressive when I think they need to, and they'll end up tying. There are plenty of matches where it's if the hunter just teleported to me on the last cipher and was able to, kill me quickly enough, they could win. And they're still going to tie in this position. So it's you don't really lose anything by getting this aggressive. I don't know. I just see a lot of high tier hunters not really do that, which I find to be very strange, because they'll just play it safe. And they're just I'll just play it safe for the tie. When in actuality, tourney hunters will almost always TP, even if they know a cipher is 90, because you know, they usually have like one person on a chair, one person rescuing. You TP across the map to their cipher, kill that person very fast, chair them on the cipher. They're forced to open up a new cipher. Rescuer has to come in once again. And by the time that usually like reset happens, they have to open up a whole 6 cipher. Your teleport's already back, but now you've burned out way more resources. So sure, the same amount of survivors are up, but your TP is back. You still have plenty of resources as a hunter, and the survivors have less resources. So now, even though you hit and the cipher pops, that survivor that you were trying to tunnel no longer has items. You can kill them, instantly chair them, and then you can TP again, and you can 3-kill. Because you kill them so fast in endgame when they don't have resources. I think that's one big thing that I don't think hunters do a lot in high tier, is they don't get aggressive when they need to. It's something that a lot of tourney hunters do, and I think that's one big thing. There's quite a few other big things, but I think that's one of the biggest things that I've noticed, at least in terms of just rank playing hunter as well. Number 3, Verge asks, what is the biggest kiting mistake that servers constantly make, and how should we work around it? Oh, that's tough. Biggest kiting mistake. That is very, very tough. I think it depends on what we're talking about in terms of tiers. The biggest kiting mistake I think low tier survivors do is they don't look behind them, which means that they can very easily get mind gamed, and that will lead to very, very short kites. The other thing that low tier survivors don't do is they don't plan routes. They just kind of go where they just kind of adapt on the fly, and they don't really think about a route versus a character or a matchup. And I think that's kind of poor. If you don't really think about, like, if you're not thinking while you're kiting, then you're just kind of unga-bunga-ing it. And a lot of the time that's not going to work, especially against a good hunter. Another thing that's very important is spawns. You really want to spawn well and set your kiters up for like a successful kite, and set up your rescues for a successful rescue. And then same with your harassers, etc., etc. But so often people just don't know how to spawn. People just spawn in really, really bad areas, and it just ends up being really, really bad. So learning spawns, I think, is also very, very important. There's plenty of spawn selection guides on YouTube. I think Sprinter actually has a very, very good one where it's quite long. I think it's like an hour and a half. But if you watch that as a survivor, you will quite literally know everything and anything and everything on how to spawn. And all you have to do is watch Sprinter's guide. It'll say it's like an hour and a half, but you'll always know what to do as every survivor from that point onward. So I highly recommend you watch like Sprinters, or even, I think Zeus has one, but it's a little outdated to my knowledge. So Zeus might make like an updated one in the future. I don't know. But I think for high tier survivors, a kiting mistake, I can think of 2. It's kind of the same one from earlier with the death spot, dying on ciphers. Very, very, very bad. But one other one I would say is that I think a lot of survivors will, is not think super hard about what the hunter has, and they'll overthink the kite. Something that's Percy that I struggle with a lot, and I think watching Green's kiting guides is very important on this, because when Green kites, Green is always thinking about what the hunter has available to them, and what that is called is kill pressure. Does the hunter have kill pressure on your end? Do they have like damage pressure, right? Let's say, for example, I'm up against a gamekeeper, right? And I want to go to this pallet, but I know that his hook is ready. So what am I going to do? Am I going to try to like bait out the hook first, or am I just going to walk through the pallet? If I walk through the pallet and he hooks, I just get hit, right? But if I know his hook's ready, I could try to mind game it first. And that's what I think a lot of high tier servers don't really do, is they don't really pay attention to the cooldowns or know when the hunter's abilities are ready. And sometimes they'll just play stupid or something like that. Obviously, it's a little bit harder against certain characters, like a clown that has like a much more active ability and whatnot. But I think that's just one thing that people don't really pay attention to, is like the cooldowns and what the hunter actually has available ready to them. And then they kind of start overthinking or burning resources, and that's the biggest thing. I think the other biggest thing as well is if you can force trait, consider that a good kite. Like that's enough to tie. Literally, a hunter's goal, if they have blink, is usually get one hit before 60 seconds and then blink. Even if you get rotated. Sometimes you can get rotated the entire game, and then it's like a hunter with insolence. They'll blink you, and then you die in 10 seconds. And then teammates will spam yo-yo. But there's really not much you can do. There are plenty of times where I've been like a prisoner, right? And the hunter's getting rotated, and then they finally find me. It's like 60 seconds pass, they blink first, hit me, insolence procs, and then they use their insolence ability to kill me. And I die in 10 seconds. That just happens. The thing is, with the rotation, the kite doesn't need to be long because it's already been 60 seconds. The hunter used their trait. If a hunter uses their trait, you can tie. That's the biggest thing that I would say. If you kite and the hunter uses their trait, you can tie. Always consider that. Obviously, it's not going to be easy, especially against, or especially for teammates mess up and whatnot, or if you mess up in the future. But the biggest thing to keep in mind as a survivor is if you can force the trait, you can tie. And then at that point, it's about outplaying the hunter to win from there. So that's the biggest thing you would try to do while kiting, is try to force out the trait. That is the biggest goal. And if you can use your resources at the correct time to try to force out the trait from the hunter, then you are in a good position. Even if it doesn't feel like the longest kite, as long as you make them burn the trait, that's all that you need to tie. The rest has to be if you can rebound, or if your teammates can support you, or if they can Cypher Rush fast enough. At that point, you have to rely on your teammates. Number 4 is, what is a decision players often make that loses them the match without realizing it? I think I talked about this earlier, and that was basically like the death spot, like I talked about with the forward dying on a gate. It's stuff like that. I think that's one of the biggest things, is also with cipher planning. If you cipher lock yourself, cipher lock refers to 3 ciphers very close together, which makes it very easier for the hunter to pressure. That's another thing. A very common map that this happens on a lot is Moon River Park and Chinatown, 2 very good maps for hunters. A lot of those ciphers are very, very close together, especially on like the right side of Chinatown, and then on like left or right side of Moon River Park, especially left side, I think, because left usually ends up being the first kiter area. There's usually like 3 people coding on the middle and other side. You can very easily cipher lock yourself. Against any hunter that has any level of map pressure, if you 3 cipher yourself, you are going to be in for a very, very long game. And that's very tricky to deal with. And a lot of the time, it could feel bad, because once again, you could have a kiter that kites 3 ciphers, but if the 3 ciphers are on the other map and they die on this side of the map, and you can't get these ciphers done on this side of the map, they'll end up dying, and the hunter can burn out so many resources, and it'll just snowball into you can never finish the cipher. And that's really, really unfortunate. This is something that Queuist especially is super, super good at. Lots of good Queuists will continue to try to manipulate ciphers into the point where survivors will end up cipher locking themselves, and then he will be able to use that cipher lock and just end up killing the survivors. Slowly but surely whittling them down of resources, making sure they have to like run away from the ciphers, heal, come back, and then at that point it'll just be too much, and he'll just have more resources to out maneuver you. Essentially, that's one of the biggest things I would say is like the death spot and cipher locking definitely happens. That, and also toxic teammates that give up when a bad kite happens. The thing is, a match is not over until it is over. That is something that a lot more people need to consider. You can kite 20 seconds and still tie. Cypher Rush is so strong in this meta that like most hunters, except if your name is like Queuist Dream Witch Hermit, if you only kite like 20 seconds versus like most other hunters that aren't like crazy map pressure hunters, you can still tie. Like it's gonna be very, very hard against hunters like map pressure, like crazy map pressure ones like Ivy, Dream Witch, Hermit, or Queuist. But if it's like a standard chase hunter, let's say I'm Night Watch, right? I, as a Night Watch, can walk up to an AFK survivor, hit them twice, chair them, and then by the time that happens, ciphers can be 50-50-50. Like, as long as like I had to walk to them, hit them twice, and the chair was also somewhat far, the ciphers could generally be like 50-50-50. They probably won't be, they're probably more like 30-40, 30-30-30 maybe, or something like that. The thing is, like, Cypher Rush is just so strong that you can have a 20-second kite in this game, and you can still tie. As long as you just die in the right spot and maybe get a little bit harassed and have a Tide Tenor. That's another thing. It's like having Tide Tenor. You need Tide Tenor to win, by the way. If you play a match without Tide Tenor, you're basically saying we have to outplay the hunter. Whereas with Tide Tenor, you get to have like a bit more of an easier time because it just buys free time. Especially Double Tide. Double Tide is super strong, and I do think that most people should run Double Tide in rank. But you know, 1 Tide Tenor should be enough. But if you have no Tide Tenors, it's gonna be hard to win. Let me just tell you, it's not good to have no Tide Tenors. Very, very hard to win. So yeah, those are some tips I would say that decisions players make that get them losses. The final question of the day here is, if you could create your own COA team with any of the professional survivors / hunters from COA, who would you choose to be on your team? That is very, very tough. Okay, I don't know if you're including me on the team as well, as a player. I'm gonna assume no. Like, let's just say I'll be like a manager or something like that. That's gotta be very tough. I think for coach, I would probably honestly just want B4U Aaron. And then maybe Skyfall as well from GH. I'd probably want Aaron and Skyfall as both coaches that can maybe like kind of just go back and forth, because they are very, very talented. And then I think for players, this is tough. I think for a rescuer, I would want City, RC City. RC City is like the most nonchalant, most calm person. And I think that's kind of the energy that you need. as a rescuer, so I think I'd choose City for a rescuer. For a kite support, I think I have to choose both goats. Both of the goats, Persica, Kazuneko. Gotta be. Absolutely have to be. They're just so good. They can play so many different roles. And then I think for a dedicated harasser, I would choose Unpi, RC Unpi as well. Unpi is just absolutely insane. So incredibly good, bro. Just so incredibly good that I would probably say Unpi. Just like literally just creates just god levels of maneuvering. MCO would be really nice as well, but I think I might want to go for like just somebody who's like a very standard strong kiter. And that might be 18. That might be 18 from GG. I'm not sure. That's really tough. There's a lot of good players out there. If I were to just like kind of put like my favorites on the team, it'd probably would just be like City, Kazuneko, Persica, Unpi, MCO. That very well could be the survivors. As for hunters, honestly, Sprinter. I think Sprinter would be one. If I had 2 hunters, I'd say Sprinter's one of them. And then the other one is probably... that's tough. Oh, that's really tough. It would have to be between... I think I have 4 picks. Choai, Aka, Alf, or Peter, I think. I would say Sprinter's 1 for sure. And then I think one of those 4. That's tough though. That's really tough. There's so many, that makes me think there's so many good players. There are so many good players. Red from GR is also incredibly good for like a new debut. Oh man, that's a hard question actually. You got players like Nyan as well. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's so many good players. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. That's really tough. That is very, very tough. It's a hard question. Very fun question though. Very, very, very hard question though. And I think that's all I'm going to do for this time. There were quite a few other questions that I don't think I'm going to be able to get to. But I do want to say, if you did leave a question, big thank you to everybody for taking the time to send out a question. There were over 150 questions, so I obviously cannot get to them all. But I hope I did answer at least a lot of the big ones. So I do hope that... you're satisfied with this Q&A. I don't know. I had a lot of fun filming this one. This one was fun. I think that's going to be it for today. So thank you so very much for watching, everybody. I will be seeing you all for just more Koa content coming soon on the channel. It's kind of the biggest focus right now. It's just all in on Koa. But yeah, thanks again for leaving all your questions. I hope you have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye now.